Savages? Welcome to another episode of Savages Unscripted. It is a exceptionally beautiful Monday morning, and we're here for another episode. We're here for the people.
For the people, as always.
For the Savages.
How's your weekend been going, man?
Dude, busy. Disney Plus came out this week, and I would like to watch it way more than I have been, but just adulting.
That's what's up. Disney Plus has been
I've seen
killer.
Yeah, I've seen like 2 things on Disney Plus. I have a whole list. I started making up the queue already. Like that's the first thing I did on Disney Plus. I have about 60, 70 movies on there.
Oh my god!
And I probably watched like 1 in the past week.
70? I didn't even know they have that much content available right now.
I think they had announced about 500 movies at launch.
Oh my god!
It was about 500 movies. And a couple thousand episodes worth of content.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about me is, like, I never hated Disney. I was never too caught up with the movies. And, like, Frozen, Up, and a bunch of those movies I'm sure are great. I've never seen them. So now I want to watch all these movies I missed out in because apparently I'm uncultured. And I'm reminded of this every time. Yeah.
Uncultured bastard, man. You got to keep up with the times.
I'm trying. I just watched Snow White because apparently I've seen it, but I don't remember much about it. So I just watched Snow White. I'm a man now, Al.
Damn. You know your princesses now, at least some of them.
Yeah, I know one.
Wait, Snow White. Which one else is there? Isn't there like 4? Mermaid. 1.
I don't know, but while we're on streaming services, did you hear about the Apple? The Apple. We talked about it last time, but I think we're slowly getting more information. But whoever has this Apple service, I want them to really tweet us or say something because I'm curious about who has it. To me, it's a waste of money.
Well, how much is that subscription?
All right, so what's funny, so a lot of people have been backing up this Apple service. I think it's called like Apple TV Plus. I think that's what it's called. And everyone's saying, oh, well, it's the cheapest one. It's better than Disney. And I mean, in terms of price, that is true. Disney is $7 a month and Apple is $5 a month. But if you compare what they each have, it's a joke. Again, so Disney, they announced, I think, about 2,000 episodes of content. So, amongst all their shows. Mm-hmm. And about 500 movies, I believe.
Okay. At
launch. That's just at launch. They're going to be adding more. And the Apple one has 8 TV shows, I believe, and 1 documentary.
That's really good, man.
For $5 a month, you can finish that off like in a month.
Hey, how many episodes in each show, though? There could be 100 episodes on each one.
To 100, 200 episodes. I think these are brand new TV shows.
Oh, wow.
So these shows better be really good if you're paying that much. And that's one of those things, $5 is cheap if you think about it, but what are you getting in return?
You know what? Just go to Spotify. Just make up that you're still in college, and then get the Spotify Student Premium, and you get Hulu and Showtime and Spotify for $5 instead.
Yeah, not just that. You guys, if you have Spotify, you can listen to Savages Unscripted on there.
By the way,
this is episode 15. I think very soon we're going to have more content than Apple Plus does. Very soon.
Wait. Damn, dude. I know the only show that they've been hyping up is that Jennifer Aniston show. That she's like the lead cast on that. But besides that, like you said, I haven't heard much hype. And also Disney Plus is doing their marketing pretty well if you look at the business perspective, because Apple TV is just obviously going to be exclusive, I feel, for the moment at least. But Disney Plus is being offered in so many different platforms. Like Verizon Wireless has already offered a 1-year subscription for free to all their Verizon. I'm assuming Verizon Premium accounts, because I recently received a text message for my whole family to have that. And then what they're doing too is that they're doing bundles with Hulu, Spotify, Disney Plus, and I think it's Showtime. And you could get all those 4 platforms for like $13 or $15 a month from last time, and I just checked it like yesterday. So Disney Plus is way ahead of its game for Apple compared to Apple TV.
Yeah, we are in the middle of the battle of the streaming services, and it's gonna get better. So the day after Disney Plus, it might have been the day or two after. I'm not sure if you've heard, but people started tweeting like, "Oh, if Nickelodeon made a streaming service, like that'd be great. I'd be on that." And I think it was a day or two after they announced that Netflix and Nickelodeon are working together, and they're bringing back a bunch of old Nick shows and movies and stuff like that. And they just announced a SpongeBob movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to our intern Elias. I think he talked about a prequel for SpongeBob. I think they're doing like a TV show where SpongeBob is younger, or I don't even know. He's a little sponge, and they're doing a spin-off for Squidward.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so a lot of this is interesting. I don't think it's gonna beat Disney, but it's giving people more content and other options. And I would like to see, Hey Arnold and Rocket Power and a bunch of those other ones as well.
It's just going to depend on how long that deal is, or we're going to end up with the same situation of Spider-Man and I can't remember the company. Spider-Man and Marvel, when they almost split. That could end up being a thing.
And we've talked about Netflix. They're very, very selfish at times. At times they don't get things their way. They cancel stuff. And that was one of the things that happened with... We talked about their exclusives and how they want to be 100% exclusive, but I don't think we've mentioned the How I Met Your Mother thing on here, have we?
How I Met... No.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, How I Met Your Mother is, one of my favorite TV shows. I think yours as well, Al.
Hell
but
yeah.
A few years ago, Netflix had How I Met Your Mother. They had the whole show in its entirety. And then Hulu obtained it. And once they obtained it, Netflix let it go because they weren't the only one that had it.
I understand.
So basically, yeah, so if you had Netflix and you're enjoying How I Met Your Mother, well, now Hulu has it, so now your streaming service doesn't want it anymore.
I understand Netflix trying to be exclusive, especially because they didn't have competition. But I feel like eventually they're going to have to drop that now with all these streaming services coming up. And they do have an advantage at the moment, obviously, because they've been here for years. I think last time I checked, they had like 100+ million subscribers, and typically one of their business goals when in their quarterly earnings reports is to obviously increase their customer growth. But at the moment, I think they have like 150 million subscribers, so they already have a little leverage compared to everybody else. It's just going to be interesting how they use that time they get, or that advantage they have over the other streaming services, to just keep being the number one. Because Disney Plus, I think, has between 10 to 20 million now. So it's not as much as Netflix, obviously, but it's a pretty rapid growth.
Yeah, at launch, definitely. At launch.
But
and The Mandalorian, whoa! That is such a great show.
I loved the final cut of episode 1. I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, this is...
Wait, hold on, very fast. I think it's worth noting for those listening that, Al, you're not a huge fan of Star Wars.
No, I'm not. Completely not. It's overrated.
Yet, how do you feel about this show, though? How do you feel about this show?
I actually enjoyed it. I've mainly enjoyed it because of I feel like the narrating of the show is really good. And then, even though we have limited episodes, they've just been delivered really well. There's within that compact amount of time, there's a lot of action you could enjoy. And it keeps you always excited for what's to come.
Yeah, and I love the feel of it. It feels like an old Western. And, they're out, and this is a bounty hunter, and all you see are these deserts and stuff. And it feels like a Western. At times, I feel like I forgot I'm watching Star Wars.
Before we go ahead, let's also say spoiler alert to anybody who hasn't watched it yet. But what would you say is your favorite part of the 2 episodes that are out so far? Like a specific skit or scene?
Again, so spoiler alert, if you have not watched The Mandalorian, please stop this episode right now and go watch it. Disney Plus isn't that... It's not expensive. If you have Netflix, this is cheaper than Netflix. But I love the scenes with him and... what people are calling him, Baby Yoda.
Oh,
I think they're
my God.
a very funny team together, and he just looks innocent, and he's in his little pod just floating around. I'm curious to see where the show goes. One thing I noticed about the last episode is, if you think about it in retrospect, it was a lot of filler. Not much happened in that episode, but I still really liked it.
Yeah.
It's just him trying to get his shit parts back, and, he's fighting. I'm trying to be not very specific here. I don't want to do too many spoilers. I don't mind one or two, but I enjoyed it at the very end. I realized, not much happened here, but I'm excited for the next one, and I love this one.
Now, just to be clear, each new episode drops every week, right?
Yes, now it's weekly. This week was just because they wanted it at launch. And I'm assuming from here on it's going to be every Friday, so that's why they released 2 this week. Because, Disney Plus came out Tuesday. And
But you were mentioning that you mostly like the Yoda character, but not really the main character as much?
I like the main character, just I'm not very entertained by him yet. I don't love this character yet. I love the actor that plays him. That guy, I'm not good with celebrity names, but the guy that came out in Narcos, I think he's a great actor.
Wait, is it the guy with the mustache?
Yep. You didn't know that?
No, because I looked at his picture. I just literally Googled the actor.
Pedro Pascal, yep.
And
yep, that's him.
He popped up without the mustache, and I was like, okay, I've never seen this actor before. Now that you mentioned that, I'm like, whoa.
The mustache is him.
That's all I recognize him by, honestly. That guy's a really good actor. Ever since Narcos came out, he's gotten a decent amount of roles throughout some movies, and I think he might be in a TV show as well. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I first found out about him through Game of Thrones, and I loved him on that. His character in Game of Thrones. But yeah, he's a really good actor, and just every role he does, he brings so much to it. And I'm curious to see what he does with this role.
That's no wonder it feels kind of westernish because he was also in. Have you watched The Kingsman or any of those 2 movies that come out?
I have not, but I've heard a lot about him.
Well, he popped up in the last movie, and he was a cowboy, like a secret agent cowboy. So maybe that he brought a little bit of that magic to the Mandalorian.
And apparently he was in Wonder Woman.
Was he now?
Or he's gonna be in Wonder Woman. He's gonna be in Wonder Woman 1984.
Ooh, okay.
As per this Google search. But sometimes we can't trust the internet.
It's crazy how, all this stuff goes, because at times you hear, like, even in basketball, like, people, young professionals in their industry turn out to be such great ballers. But an example like this actor right here, he's not the youngest, yet even though he's a little older, he's getting more recognition, and he's actually having his big growth spurt when it comes to the acting or the entertainment industry. It's just crazy how that happens.
That's good. It's diverse.
And I was thinking about that because just yesterday I was watching some videos on like philosophy and the Renaissance and a bit of Da Vinci. And I always, every time it popped in my head, at least in college, you were always told that you should, if you get into a certain field, you should like what you do, you should like what you work. But I feel there's so much emphasis on your career job-wise. At least I felt throughout college, I was kind of limited to one path, which was a job. But I never got so much emphasis on hobbies and some other stuff you'd like to do. And since I speak to you a lot of different things I'd like to get involved in, I just thought, is it me? Am I the only one? Or is it other people too, that could want to be good in many different things? And I eventually stumbled into a TED Talk where this guy discusses how I don't think people could be happy with just one career path or being good at just one thing, and rather being able to excel in different things, and which makes you more happier. And I just found that interesting because I really didn't perceive that as much. The most I got was, you have your main career job you focus on, but then the side hobbies, it's fun, but it's not something you really should focus as much on. But it could be interesting how I just got that new perspective. I don't know what you think about that.
No, I completely agree with that. And that's one of the things about me. Those, mainly in the past couple months, past year, if somebody asks me, what do I want to do? And my answer has changed. At first I was strictly, I was in college to become a teacher. I'm getting my degree so I can teach. But then eventually I started realizing, there's other things I would want to do. I don't just want to teach.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to try other things as well. And so whenever anybody asks me, what do you want to do? I tell them, in addition to teaching, I do still want to write my own novel. I want to write. I want to look into editing. I took journalism classes, and when we were in college, I liked journalism. Now I'm getting, you've seen, I'm very into production and the editing, when I do the stuff for the podcast, and I'm getting so much into all these different things that I wouldn't mind doing that. So whenever somebody tells me I want to do a podcast and I think they honestly have potential, I tell them hey, if you need someone to help with editing, I like it. And that's just what I'm constantly trying to do. I'm trying to find things I like. And you've seen me, I like the editing. It can be annoying. It does take time. That's why this episode's going to be a little shorter. But
spoiler alert.
I do like it. So for those that don't know, I'm the one that does the editing on the podcast. And I think it was before you left, Al, you told me hey, if you want, I can do the editing too. And I specifically told you I don't mind you doing it, but I'd prefer I do it. I'm just at a point where it's just my thing.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy it. And no, I think it's really important that we have different skills and different hobbies, not just one thing. I just never wanted to be that person that goes to work and then comes back and I'm just watching TV, or I have nothing else to do, or I'm bored. I think when people are bored, it's because they don't have any hobbies.
Huh.
They don't know what to do with themselves. And I just never wanted to be that person.
Could it be that they just don't have hobbies, or, other factors that could... Well, there's a lot of factors in life that come into play. But, I just feel maybe it should be taught more in school, because at times the most you get from being hobbies is probably kindergarten, when you're opened up to do many different things you probably like. And then as the years go by, you're just singled down to just doing homework and doing exams and having different topics, but yet doing it in the same pattern. It seemed pretty...
That's the thing too, if you really think about it, when you're younger, when you're asked questions at school, you're asked, what hobbies do you like? What do you like doing for fun? Questions that require creativity, and they have genuine interest in this stuff. But eventually it's just more just work, grind, just what makes the most money. But you don't hear that much when you're older. What hobbies do you have?
Yeah.
Now I'm curious now. I want to ask my friends, I'm being serious. I'm not trying to be taunting or joke around, but I honestly want to ask people hey, what's your hobby? What do you like doing for fun? Excluding Netflix and excluding watching TV, honestly, what do you like doing for fun?
Disney
I
show.
think you should have some sort of skill. I think that's really important. One great example, my sister is a bit of an artist. She draws a little bit. Well, at least way better than me. I am the shittiest artist you will find on this side of the earth. My stick figures are the worst stick figures. My stick figures don't look at themselves. So my sister's been on and off with her drawing, and recently she said she wants to start getting into it. And I'm that's great. Do it. There are people that would want that skill to be able to do that. I remember specifically in college, in group projects, when we would try to hey, this person's going to do this person's going to do this. And the first thing we would always say is who has nice handwriting and who's an artist. And for the artist one, nobody would raise their hand. There aren't creative people anymore. There really isn't.
How can we change that? I know clubs exist in school, but at least from my point of view, or in my experience, typically people just join either frat and sorority clubs just because it's a cool thing, contacts, or they just join non-frat and non-sorority clubs. Not all of them, obviously. I'm not saying all of them, but for generally, they just do it just to put it on the resume. It doesn't seem like people could have fun as much, but that was probably just in our school.
Well, a big one is to change the school system, because what it is now, it's test scores. That's all it is. Honestly, your grade doesn't matter all that much. What matters is these test scores because that's what reflects the school.
Yeah.
And that's why, I think at times, like, at least, you went to private school. I don't know how things are there. I'm sure they're way different, way better in terms of scores and stuff.
Way better.
But in public schools, it seems like they're just on cruise control. Just let's have these kids do something during the year. And then when tests are coming up, hey, let's teach them what they got to know so they can pass. And that's all it is. And then it's those tests that all they care about. But the problem with that is they're just preparing you for tests. They're not teaching you. They're not teaching you content. I mean, if I were to ask most people, like, what math do you remember from high school? Like, most people aren't going to remember unless maybe they're math majors now or they're, like, really what math sticks to you. But they don't allow you to harness your creativity. A lot of what happens in school, it's just learn this on the test, learn this is on the test. Like, they're just preparing you to take tests, and that's all that these school systems are doing.
And that could be interesting because, like you said, you don't go to specific detail of what you like, but at the same time, maybe people could be shy about it too, because at the end of the day, you got to come to this realization and passion that you want to do it rather than just go for a grade. But maybe your thoughts are mixed together while you're in college. Everyone has their own story, obviously, but it just amazes me because, like, you see these great businesses or great ideas or great platforms, websites, whatever it could be. The ones that stick out the most aren't the corporate ones, but they're the ones that are actually built by people who are passionate to do these things. And they won't be the best, they won't know how to use a PDF file or freaking all the Microsofts or how to run ads or have a good system to run their website and no coding and all this crap that you need for basic way of running a business. But they have the passion to do that. And I feel generally that's probably the number one thing you need in order to be successful in your hobby, or even something way past that where it could actually sustain your life, your living conditions.
Yeah. If you could be anything in the world, what would you want to become?
Lakers manager.
Lakers manager?
Lakers or...
I guess that's more realistic.
Lakers or FC Barcelona or Liverpool manager. I love sports so much. That would be definitely my goal. You
want to know my answer?
Can I guess?
Go ahead.
A bike rider.
I'm gonna be a Pokemon master.
Hey, that's possible, man.
There are no obstacles in my way.
Pokemon Go.
But
got you.
Yeah. Speaking of which, the new installment for Pokemon just came out this week. Pokemon Sword and Shield. So Disney Plus came out this week, and for those that like video games, there's a new Star Wars game, and there is now another installment for Pokemon. And unfortunately, I've been way too busy to really play these. I wanted our intern Elias on the show, but he's busy playing right now, and he isolated himself. Yeah, so it's a really good game. I like, one thing I do like is I like looking back at just how technology and specifically video games. There's been so much progression with video games, so much advancement. If you look at what we used to play back in our day, I just realized how old I made myself sound right there. But things have changed so much. I found the original trailer for the first Smash Bros. Game, and the graphics, they look pretty laughable, and the trailer itself is super cheesy. But then when you compare that to what we're playing now, it's crazy. One of the big ones that always impresses me, I still haven't beaten it, but Red Dead Redemption 2. When you and I played it, we were just in awe over the graphics, and most of the time I was just riding my horse around and just frolicking about. I wasn't even playing the game. I was enjoying the views, watching the river. I was fishing and, hunting deer. And that's what I was doing on Red Dead. But this advancement in video games, it's just so bizarre.
It's definitely bringing more opportunities of different ways to experience a video game, especially Red Dead. Like, you could either beat the story, beat the side stories, try to hunt all the animals, get all the horses you want. I forgot it all of it. I haven't even finished the game because it was basically spoiled to me by the first week. But it's just great how all these games could just get people excited, especially with Pokemon. Like, I'm not a fan as much. Like, it's whatever for me. I watched it when I was little. But for the video game specifically, is there like something big about it? Because at times Pokemon games, not trying to talk shit, but some Pokemon games tend to repeat themselves, kind of like Apple phones.
It depends on how you play it. I have a pretty big group of friends that play it. Like, I was telling Elias, like, we can start doing some tournaments because I have at least 10 to 12 people that I know very closely who play.
Mm-hmm.
And at least for a lot of us, or most of this group, we play competitively. And I've mentioned before that there's different ways of training, and there's basically like hidden things in the game. For those that understand this, but EV training and IVs and, there's breeding and natures in Pokemon. So when you really dig into it and there's people that are into this stuff, you just want to do this more. Because that's the thing about technology, those older ones, yeah, a lot of things are repeated. It really is just, in some ways, you can think of it as a reskin.
Mm-hmm.
But you're playing it's like an iPhone. You want the newer one. That's what it is. Or a cell phone. You just want the newer one. Realistically, I'm going to be honest. Next year, when the new Xbox comes out, we don't need it, but we're going to want to get it, right?
You probably.
You just know.
I still have the original OG version. Oh my god.
Yeah, but that's just what I'm saying. Just like in terms of technology, if you think about it realistically, a lot of the times when we update or we upgrade to a newer piece of technology, we don't need it. We want it. And you just got a new phone recently. I saw that. You got the
God, I love it.
Pixel, right?
Oh, dude, I've had so many phones throughout my life. This is legit probably the first phone I'm happy to have and was excited to get. Oh, I love this phone.
Well, to be fair, you had an iPhone, so anything is an upgrade over that. To be fair.
Okay, so just a little context or some history on my phone selections. So my first phone was probably like, the flip phones. I got like a Verizon flip phone. But then the first time...
Which one? Do you remember which one you got?
I don't, man. It kind of looked like the Razor. I don't quite remember. I remember I wanted like the little thing that was almost like a freaking pocket knife almost, because it would just slide to the right.
Oh, the juke?
The juke. I wanted that one so bad.
I had that one.
Well, oh, dude.
I didn't even know what it was when I got it.
Honestly, you could be like a comb, bro. You just pop up and bam. Like, oh, but
I don't know if they do this still, but I don't know if I remember back in the day when they would have like deals for phones and adding phone lines, and they'd be like, oh, buy one, get one free. So when I first got my phone, my brother and I didn't have a phone at the time. We were like 8th grade. He was in 8th grade, and I was going to start my freshman year of high school. And they were having this deal on the Razor. If you buy one, you get one free.
Oh.
Which is, it's a pretty good deal. So, it wasn't our choice of phone, but, at the time we didn't have a phone, so we couldn't be picky, and that's what we got. And I remember getting it, and I was like, this doesn't even look like a phone. It's so weird.
Well, going back, and actually I'm going to bring something up too. My first ever phone that I actually got really into was like, you remember those, I think you had one, those phones that had the keyboards underneath the screen, so you just had to push it up, so then you could start texting.
Oh, yeah.
I love that one. It just felt really cool just to push it up, just the motion on its own, just like the juke, just flip it around and it just pops up. I'm just a big fan of those, but since there, I just started getting like Samsung Galaxies, and they perform really well. Samsung probably gives the best phone out there based on performance and storage and all this stuff and technology recency between the Apple, Google, and the Samsung. But I went from that, and then I got like my mom's crappy iPhone like 2, because I just didn't care about phones. Nothing really excited me. And from there, I kind of lost that phone, and I got the iPhone 7. And it was like, whatever. I just got it for emergency reasons. And then the Google Pixel came out. And at the time, my mom wasn't really willing to help me out to pay for that, because it's like $200 more than iPhone 7. But I ended up saying, you know what? I'm going to just wait for the next one to come out, and I'm just going to end up getting it. And dude, I got so lucky. So recently, Verizon has been, having some technical difficulties when it comes to their service, where some people wouldn't have signal, internet, calls, nothing. So around the time I came back from my trip, I went and I was like, let's see what type of deals, they have, because I saw there was a lot of movement when it came to T-Mobile, Sprint. They were offering too many high deals than regular. And I saw Verizon and I want to trade in my phone. And guess how much they gave me for my iPhone 7? iPhone 7 is 4 generations old.
How much?
Guess. I just want you to take a shot.
They were giving you credit back, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
200.
450.
Oh man, they're ripping themselves off.
I know. I was so happy, dude. And then I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going all the way up on this Google Pixel 4 XL. This thing was supposed to cost me like $1,000. It cost me less than $500. I'm so happy, dude. And oh man, I just love this phone. Like, it has its own like Siri type where you say, okay, Google, and it, responds and does any sort of task you need it to. The screen is amazing. The camera is really good resolution-wise. It just excites me because at the end of the day, it's a brand I really love. Like Google, I like how their business environment is, how they're so creative, how they're, how would you say it? Like they brought color to a kind of boring industry, which was the internet, first of all. So I just been messing around with the features. It has the hand gesture where you could just change songs by flipping, not even flipping, just moving your hand around the phone without having to touch it. It's really amazing, and I just love it.
Yeah, there's some really good tech out there. And the thing is, at least for me, whenever I get a new phone, I like to do my research on what I'm getting and the specs. And that's the main reason I will never, at least, I can't say never, but at least in the near future, I will not get an iPhone. Like, I think iPhones are more aesthetic, and it's more so, people have iPhones and iMessenger. I hear a lot about that, but I'm not going to get a phone just for that. But I think iPhones are the Carmelo Anthony of phones. Like, it's a big name, but it doesn't perform.
That's a really good comparison.
And it's fragile. That's what it is.
It's fragile.
That's what it is. I like, okay, every iPhone user like, how many of them have a cracked screen? Not cracked, shattered. Shattered is the word to use. But I remember once I was with Angel and we were playing Xbox in his room, and his phone was on his lap, and it fell onto the floor, it was like a very thin carpet. You remember the carpeting in the dorms?
Yeah.
So it fell with like 2 feet, 3 feet. It shattered his phone.
Yeah.
And I remember as soon as it fell, he knew already too. Like, it fell on its front, and he looked at it, and he didn't even want to pick it up. He was like, damn it. And it shattered his phone. But I wouldn't pay that much money for something that would be just that inferior to other stuff. Like, in terms of technology, like, I don't know.
I could see you, when I saw that you got the Samsung, first of all, you really got a great deal out of it. But
oh yeah,
I feel like since you're more rational-wise, you didn't really, obviously you back on the Apple. We've always been doing this. Apple's just overhyped, like we mentioned. The Pixel didn't really catch your attention. And then you just got the Samsung. I feel you got it mainly, or you would have gotten it if you weren't have had that deal happen. If you were just to choose between the three, I feel like you would have still gotten the Samsung because of just the performance and how your rationale works when it comes to value rather than just flash.
Yeah, so interesting fact, I wanted the Google Pixel.
Oh, nice.
So I'm with T-Mobile, and they didn't have it available for their carrier, and it was just very complicated. Like, it's doable. You have to get it from like a third party and yada yada, all this other stuff. And when I went to T-Mobile, they were having this deal for the S10. So it was just like, I'm saving money. I'm getting a newer phone. It came with the Samsung earbuds, which basically for free. And I was like, I might as well just do this. I like the idea of the Google Pixel, but again, back to our conversation on technology, I don't need it. I want it, So this was just, it was more convenient. It was cheaper. Well, let's just do this. And it's a really good phone. I'm not saying like I settled. I love this phone. But
it's great.
Yeah, and speaking of phones, hold on, before I forget, because I have been wanting to tell you about this, but they announced the new Razer.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up.
You've heard about
I was actually going to bring that up.
They're bringing back the old, back in our day, I think that was 08, 09 around there, where they had the Razer, the Motorola Razer, and they're bringing it back. It's still a foldable phone, and it's also a smartphone. That's really interesting. I'm really intrigued by this, and they released the price, which is, I believe, about $1,600.
Yeah. It's really expensive.
That's ridiculous. That is, wow.
To be fair, I watched a small part of a review video of it. It looks kind of quirky because it's a really thick phone when it comes to using it, because it has two sides. It has the just the one screen, and then you can fold it out, and it's like almost 2 pixels meshed together. And it's a really interesting concept. It seems like not as flashy, but fun phone to use, especially for when it comes to viewing. But $1,500 for a phone like that maybe has better performance than all 3 phones right now. But I don't know. How would you categorize this?
I just don't know how I feel about those foldable phones yet. Like a foldable touchscreen. To me, that's just I haven't. I've seen pictures on the internet. You've seen videos, but I want to see that in person. And it's really expensive, but I'm intrigued by it. I think it's interesting, but I don't find myself wanting one. I think I'd have to use it to get the hype, but a foldable touchscreen, I don't know.
Would you rather get the BlackBerry?
The OG BlackBerry? I'll have that, yeah.
I think
I'd rather have, like, one of the really older BlackBerries over the new iPhone. I'd rather do that.
I remember when it came out, and around the time my mom got it, I was like, dude, this thing is so cool. It looks so business-like. And it is a good performer when it comes to needing it for business people, I assume, and I've heard. But it's crazy how that thing just died down completely. The iPhone really crushed it when it came to touchscreen use for everyone nowadays. Like, literally, who doesn't have a touchscreen phone?
Yeah. I remember when touchscreen phones were becoming a lot popular. And I had one of those sliding phones where you slide it and there's like a keyboard inside. So I had that, and I loved those phones. Like, I could text perfectly without looking, and I just knew that phone, and I really liked it. And I remember my brother got a touchscreen, and I don't know if it's me being an older soul or I don't know what, but I told myself I do not want a touchscreen. I don't ever see myself having a touchscreen. I don't need one. Ooh. And this was when, they were coming out and everyone wanted one, but it wasn't the norm yet. And, that's what's funny. Eventually, that's just, everyone has one now, just like you said. And years ago, I told myself I would never get one. And now here I am with a Galaxy S10. Which now there's no button. I think it was in the S9 where they removed the home button. Now it's completely touchscreen. And that's just technology. It's going to keep advancing. I think you can keep saying, I don't want this, I don't get the hype in this, but technology is not going to stop for you. It's going to keep going. It's going to keep going. And eventually we might be like those older people who prefer the older stuff, And because, when you see like for example, my parents or like my grandparents, when they see a smartphone, it's like they just detest it. They want those buttons and the folding phone. Maybe that'll be us one day.
I'm honestly just gonna have an Alexa next to me as a phone and just command everything because that's what I've been doing for my Google. I have not hardly, but I've been using that voice activation feature so much, and I love it. But before we end this episode and talk about hype, we got some submissions for your nickname, bro. I know we're gonna extend it a little more and see other submissions, but so far,
has there been submissions?
Yeah,
This is funny because you haven't told me any of this, so I am finding out about this right now, along with all the listeners. I don't know any of this.
I wanted your reaction on the spot.
All right, hold on. How many are there?
There's 3. Okay, so just let me know what you think about it quickly and briefly if you'd like. So the first one is Professor Hector.
Ooh.
Okay. The second one is Stallion.
Stallion. Whoa.
I don't know. Maybe it's the picture.
Who did that one?
It was one of our recent followers.
The picture? What picture? What picture did I have?
I don't know.
Stallion?
No, Stallion. Was
I on? Was I on a stallion?
I don't know.
Is there a picture out there I don't know?
I could kind of see it from the picture though. I'm gonna just say that. And then the other one is Daddy Stings.
What?
Yeah, so
Wait, Daddy Sting?
Stings.
Or Daddy Stings?
Stings.
Oh my... I have a feeling I know who did that one. I have some friends that are probably just messing around.
Hey, it was a submission though, so
Elias. Yeah, today I was hanging out with Elias, our intern, and he gave me a suggestion. I think, what did he say? Asshole Hector. He said something. I forgot what it was.
that's my nickname for you too.
That's your vote. No, but I want this to grow, and I want to eventually do a legit vote, like a survey. That's what I want to do. I think that'd be more fun and very inclusive of the community. But the thing about that is, if I don't like it, I'm gonna have to stick with it. I can't just be like, offering this survey and then people choose something I don't like and be like, nah, screw that. Like, no, I gotta stick with it. So
hey,
I feel like I'm digging myself a hole here. But I like those. I'm surprised no one went with Dr. Hector, since that's my Twitter and Instagram name. But wow, okay. The Stallion one is interesting.
That one's really interesting. I would that nickname would have my vote so far. But yeah, dude, like, just an announcement to all our followers. We're still gonna be asking for some more submissions, and then we're just gonna narrow down the list eventually. So just if you see the submission box, click away, put whatever creative name you think fits well for Hector, and let us know.
Yeah, and if you guys have any ideas for just anything you want us to talk about, please give them to us. You can DM us on the Savages Unscripted Instagram. You can mention it on Twitter. If you know us personally, you can just hit us up. I have some friends that occasionally they'll be like, hey, you should talk about this. You should talk about this. Last week when we talked about the blackface incident in that town, my friend sent me that link, and he's done that before. When you were gone, he had sent me a link for another news, something else that happened in the news. It was like an RPG tabletop game for Wendy's, and I like that when people just say, hey, I don't know if this is something you would talk about in the podcast, but I thought this was interesting, And like we've said before, we're not 100% guaranteeing we're even going to talk about it, but we appreciate it. We really we'll really consider it, definitely.
Oh, hell yeah, man. But yeah, and just to plug, follow us on savages.unscripted. Check out our content. Just leave a comment if you'd like. We always appreciate the involvement of our fans. And as well, check out our Twitter, savages.unscript. Unscript, right? Or unscript?
Unscript. The Twitter handle doesn't fit the whole name. But you could just type in Savages Unscripted and it'll pop up no matter what.
And yeah, check us out, and we'll catch you guys around for next week's episode.
Yeah, have a great week, everybody.
Y'all have a good one. This has been Savages Unscripted. My name is Al/Papi Chulo.
And my name is Hector, Professor Hector Stallion, or the other name. We'll find out.
And y'all have a good night.
Goodbye.